It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us. I just remember it's like I've been sleeping 40 years and I'm not awake as I can be. But my seeing's better. I can see through the tears, and I've been realizing that I bought this ticket and I'm watching only half the show. But there's scenery and lights and a cast of thousands. You all know what I know. And it's God, it's so good. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by.
Good morning, Yaron,
Good morning.
and happy Sunday morning.
Thank you, you too, and everyone else.
Yes, and so good morning to everyone. And Yaron, thank you for a lovely choice of song to begin our Sunday celebration service with. What great lyrics and inspiration for each of us to remember that the thing itself, the power of the divine, is indeed within every one of us, and that we get to use it and experience it and express it to the degree that we become conscious of it and know that we are it and it's there. So thank you so much. I know you have a wonderful music morning planned for us, so I look forward to hearing that and our guest musician who I'll introduce to us shortly this morning. And thank you. So we'll see you shortly. So, good morning, everyone, again, and welcome to the Sunday celebration service for the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. It is Sunday morning, December 6th, in the year 2020. Those days are numbered for the year 2020, but yet I know that we all know that we can't measure our life based on some calendar event. But I'm happy to know that you have taken the time to find a space today to anchor yourself and become more aware of who you are as a divine being. We come together every Sunday morning, as we have for a while, a little over 30 years to be exact, to remember who we are and to remember that that thing itself, is indeed within every one of us. And so, a big welcome to all of you today. A big hello to our community known as the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. If you're joining us for the first time, just want to let you know that we welcome all ethnicities, all genders, all sexual orientations, all races, all aspects of people. We welcome you and honor you as you're on your journey of finding your personal self empowerment through a spiritual awakening. That indeed is the vision statement for our community, supporting individuals finding their personal self empowerment through a spiritual awakening. So, as we come together today, and as we have for the last 30 years, let's remember that that is our objective individually, that is our objective to know that for each other, that is our objective to act upon that journey of awakening and empowerment, and to give that back out into the universe. That as we choose to align ourselves with the knowledge and the wisdom that we are imbued with, that by nature we are perfect and whole and complete just as we are, then we create the opportunity to give that back to the universe and to the world. And then as we give that out into the universe, because we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law, we have the opportunity to reflect that back to ourselves in the form of experience or circumstance or condition. So if you're joining us today for the first time, welcome. If you've been with us here before today, welcome. And as our founding minister, Dr. David Walker, used to say each and every Sunday morning, and I invite you to say that along with me, we welcome one and we welcome all. As a community, we've come together to practice primarily the philosophy, faith, and way of life. That's what it's known as, that is called the science of mind. It's a compilation of all the great spiritual practices that had transpired prior to the 20th century. Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of the teaching of the science of mind, pulled those together and put them in this concise, I'd like to say at times, compilation of a philosophy. Philosophy meaning that a way of looking at life and engaging in that through an understanding and acceptance that the basic principle is there's only one power in the universe. It is infinite by nature, and we both individualize that and express it through our thoughts, our actions, our reactions, and our interactions with the very thing itself, which we call life. So that's the philosophy. The way of life is that we use this knowledge, we use this wisdom through our thoughts and beliefs and actions and reactions and interactions with life itself. We use it in the manner in which we both show up in life in an everyday basis, how we give of our human self as well as our divine nature, and that indeed gives us the opportunity to evolve into a higher framework of consciousness. And then that consciousness is, once again, as I stated before, reflected back to us. So it's a philosophy, a way of life, and a faith. The faith in that we live in a universe where the power that is the creator of life is unfailing by nature. And so if there is any time in our life where it appears as if there is a failing that has taken place, it's not within the power. It's with our understanding of how we use it and the way that we know ourselves to be. And so one of the things that I personally have found very rewarding and exciting about this approach to life is that we live in a universe that is impersonal. There isn't some power, some deity sitting in the sky passing out judgment based on someone's ideology or some previous theology. It's just very simple that energy as life exists, that we're one with it, and we get to experience it to the degree that we awaken our mind to it. And so today we come together for the opportunity to magnify that power, to magnify and cultivate a greater understanding of it, to live in community with others as they do the same, even though in this world today that is a virtual experience. But to do that for this time of maybe an hour, hour and 6 minutes, maybe 58 minutes, but a time through technology of Facebook and Zoom and ultimately YouTube, where we'll be on our channel there. We just have the moment and the opportunity to take a deep breath in, anchor ourselves in the knowledge of who we are, and make that connection to the thing that exists within us. And so I say thank you once again for being here. This morning we have a wonderful service planned for us, and so before we move into our morning ritual, I'd like to take a moment and introduce you to our guest musician today. He's been with us before, and he's rapidly becoming a part of the CSL-LA family. He joins us today from New York City. Todd Alsup, would you please come on and say hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Great, how are you? Todd, I know
Great.
that many in our community are very excited to have you here today and to have you shine your light and to share your talent. So
Well, thank you. I'm glad to
you're
be here.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I know that you have an original song or two for us, correct?
I have two today.
Yeah, so exciting. Well, I look forward to seeing you after we go through our ritual and you sharing your first song.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so, as we open the next phase of our service this morning, we shall do that with a ritual. That ritual is called Calling in the Light. And let me get to the technological aspect of that setup. Thank you for being patient. So I invite us all to once again take a deep breath in, a very cleansing breath of inhaling and exhaling. And just anchoring ourselves into a state of surrender and receptivity. As we perform the ritual, calling in the light. And so today, as we light a candle, using the one on the screen as an example, I invite us to know together that we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence. It's that which we call spirit. And so the purpose of our ritual today is to draw into our gathering a cosmic and conscious awareness of our oneness and a remembrance that the light of the divine exists in and as all sentient beings. And so the quality of the divine that we use today in our ritual is light. Light. In metaphysical terms, light is defined as this. In flashes of illuminations, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality and brought back with them a distinct impression of what they have seen and felt. A glimpse of this reality illumines the whole being with a flood of light. And so I invite us to use this illumination, this power of a flood of light, to commit to be the change on this planet, to choose to engage in peaceful activity, and to align ourselves with this Buddhist prayer for peace. I invite you to bring into your mind's eye an individual or all individuals of life as I affirm this prayer for all. May all beings everywhere, plagued with sufferings of body and mind, quickly be freed from their illnesses. May those frightened cease to be afraid, and may those bound be free. May the powerless find power, and may people think of befriending one another. May those who find themselves in trackless, fearful wilderness, the children, the aged, the unprotected, be guarded by beneficial celestials, and may they swiftly attain Buddhahood. Buddhahood is the sense of a spiritual awakening, reflecting the nature of the divine that we are each imbued with. And so to further the affirmation of this prayer being become and being made manifest, we move into the third aspect of our ritual called calling in the light, as Yaron guides us through the song, and I invite you to sing along with the lyrics on the screen. And so it is. Thank you, Yaron, and thank you, everyone. Just feel the energy of the light that we've called in. And now we have before us a fantastic opportunity to experience light being expressed in a wondrous and beautiful way by means of our guest musician. Todd, I'd like to welcome you back to the screen to share your first song of the morning and any words that you would like to share with us of why this song has great meaning for you.
Sure. I've been writing songs for a long time. This is one of the first songs that I ever wrote, and it's taken me some places. I think you'll get the message. It's called How I'm Made, and the message is really about, self-acceptance and something that, lesson that I continue to learn, and there it is. This is called How I'm Made.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I never said I was without my faults, quite the opposite. I'm a man who's flawed in many ways. I've accepted it. I won't pretend I'm what I'm not. I'll skip the whole charade, and I'll tell you right now that I can't change how I'm made. No, no, no. I get all worked up over little things, and then I can't let go. I'm possessive and unforgiving, and you wanna know that I'm not afraid to speak my mind and call the spade a spade. If I'm stubborn and proud, then I blame it on how I'm made. Always found it hard to offer an apology or to admit my mistakes, and that's how I'll always be. When I'm wrong, you think I try to be a bigger man. Whoa, but I'm set in my ways. Yeah, that's who I am. That's who I am. But my biggest fault is that I always give my heart too soon. I fell in love with you, and I began to plan the honeymoon. Oh, and now look at me, I'm broken hearted. I let myself get played. And you think that by now I'd have learned to protect myself from getting burned. Maybe one of these days I'll finally make the grade. Hey, but all that I know right now is that I can't change how I'm made. Whoa.
Fantastic, beautiful. The so powerful, and I love the lyrics and the depth of the connection that you have to them as you sing them. Obviously, you wrote the song, and so it shows that every time that you sing that song, because I've now heard you sing that song 3 times in the last few days,
Yeah.
your soul is revealed even more. And I believe that that's speaks to what we teach here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Is as we align ourselves with our divine nature, then we have that spiritual awakening, which leads to personal self-empowerment, and you're becoming more and more empowered every time you sing that. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you for letting me share it. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. Our community is responding quite well in the chat window, so give yourself the gift to read that as I'm giving my message. So
Thanks, you guys.
love having you with us, Todd. You're a very special man and a great talent and a light of life. So thank you.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks.
So speaking of light of life, we move into the month of December, really kind of known as the month of light, certainly in the northern hemisphere, because that's when we move close to the beginning of winter, the shortest day of the year, which has all types of spiritual connotation and meanings in all of the great different spiritual practices of the world. And so today, as we kick off this month themed Living in the Light, I want us to take a broader look at the concept of light itself. It's a term that we use, and we used it in our candle ritual a moment ago, our calling in the light, to begin to look from various different perspectives and angles. What does light mean? What does it mean to us personally? What does it mean from a spiritual perspective? What does it mean from a scientific perspective? What is light, and what role does it play in our life? As well as what role do we allow it to play in our life? And then how do we use it in our life for this journey of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening? Because it's one of the 7 qualities of the divine as expressed through this teaching of the science of mind, the word is thrown around a lot. And so today I'd like for us to take a step back as we go on this journey in the month of December and look at light. What does light mean? Well, and excuse me as I look down at my notes this morning, and because there will be reading going along with my message for us today. And since I haven't quite mastered sitting and using a podium, this is how it's going to look. So thank you for indulging me in that. What does this mean, light? Well, light is known as a quality of the divine. It's a cosmic energy that we individualize. It's known as the other side of darkness. It is certainly that which is the illuminator. It is that which certainly we celebrate when it shows up in life. And it's also that which we fear may not reappear when darkness shows up. It's known as the other side of darkness. A quote by Martin Luther King addresses it in this way: of darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. For hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. The great Buddha addresses it in this way: just as treasures are uncovered from the earth, so virtue appears from good deeds, and wisdom appears from a pure and peaceful mind. To walk safely through the maze of human life, one needs the light of wisdom and the guidance of virtue. In this context, the Buddha, the enlightened one, is telling us for you and I to walk through this maze of the experience of our human part of life, that we need light and wisdom. In other words, we need those qualities of the divine, and then the guidance of virtue, the good that exists within us, also as a quality and a synonym of that great power that we call God. Aristotle tells us that it's during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. Now, I know for each of us on our own journey, not only of our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, but of our journey navigating this human maze of this calendar year, according to the Gregorian calendar of the year 2020, life has been a trip. And I know that as I speak for myself, and I'm assuming I speak for others, that just as soon as we think that there is a proverbial light at the end of the tunnel takes over and the light seems to dissipate and disappear. But as we continue on this journey of both dancing the dance with our beloved divine nature as well as our human nature, it's important for us to remember who we are as beings of light. Todd so beautifully addressed it in the lyrics of his song of, I've never said I was without my faults, quite the opposite. I'm a man who's flawed in many ways. I've accepted it. I won't pretend what I'm not. I skipped the whole charade. And I'll tell you right now, I can't change how I'm made. And when he's speaking of that, he's speaking of the qualities of who he is as a human being, how he shows up and has been birthed into this life. But let's take that to a new dimension and realize that we can't change how we're made from the perspective and the concept and the spiritual truth, by the way, that we are individualized expressions of the only thing that there is. And so for us to fully individualize this as a being of light, as a carrier of light, as a light worker, it's oftentimes called in this teaching, in this philosophy, in a more progressive way of spirituality in today's words, then we must know who we are. We must know who we are and then be open to that understanding continually morphing itself into something different from what it was, while the inherent intrinsic nature never changes. What that means in other languages, that as we continue on this journey of awakening to a greater expression and understanding and experience of ourselves, our divine nature never changes, but as we tune into that more and more and more, also known as an evolving consciousness, then we expand in a way to use our light in a new way, ultimately illuminating a path in a brighter way, sometimes even a more simplistic way, but in a different way than previously. Now, this may seem complex as I present that to you, but I want us to look at that in the terms of becoming illumined to a higher field of consciousness, one that already resides within us, but that so often for us to allow it to rise up, we must basically excavate and rid ourselves of anything that is contrary to who we know ourselves to be as a divine being of light. Once again, light is defined in the book The Science of Mind by Dr. Ernest Holmes as this: in flashes of illumination, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality and have brought back with them a distinct impression of what they've seen and felt. A very important factor there, the feeling. A glimpse of this reality illumines the whole being with a flood of light. Every mystic has had this experience. Jesus was the greatest of all mystics. So when he speaks of the mystics, which you and I have at the core of who we are, that core of the reality of who we are, what he speaks of is the practice of mysticism, is living life, being engaged in life, calling to be in life, calling for life itself to reflect this, a state of oneness. A state of oneness, meaning that there is nothing but one thing taking place. It is the energy and the activity of the only thing there is. Now, the word in this teaching that we use oftentimes for that is God. But it's also known as good. It's also known as the thing itself. It's also known as life. It's also known as light. And also you get to call it whatever it is you want to call it, because it doesn't change its inherent nature. It's important for us, if we covenant and commit to stay on this journey, no matter what's going on in that tunnel of darkness seeking the light, to honor the light, to honor that quality that's there, that ever-present infinite energy field that is made up of the very same thing that you and I are. I love this writing regarding light, which is a new view of light for us, I believe, from Matthew Fox. It's titled Honoring the Light Continued. If you're not familiar with Matthew Fox and our teachings in philosophy and faith, the way of life, Matthew Fox is an American priest and theologian. He is formerly a member of the Dominican order with the Catholic Church, which he then moved to become a member of the Episcopal Church following his expulsion from the Catholic Church because of his views. And Matthew Fox is known as a metaphysical Christian, if you will. He's an individual who views the order of the divine, as we express it individually, through a lens of an awakened mind. And so I'm going to read to you this article by Matthew Fox, published in Science and Spirituality, Deep Ecumenism, from December of 2019. And this is what he writes. We continue our meditations on light in this darkest time of the year. In Genesis, we learn that the first thing created was light. God said, in quotes, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that light was good, and God divided light from darkness. God called light day, and darkness God called night. Evening came and morning came the first day. In Psalm 104, the psalmist sings of how divinity itself comes robed in light. Yahweh, my God, how great you are, clothed in majesty and glory, wrapped in a robe of light. The word glory, doxa in Greek, bespeaks of light, radiance, and splendor. Earth is filled with the glory of God, we are told, and God is King of glory, who has poured out the divine radiance into creation. We are alerted to how the heavens declare the glory of the divine, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. We're being told here is that this energy of creation, is glorious in its nature. And then all that we need to know to experience that is to look to the firmaments, the sky, to see the handiwork of this creative force. In its traditional sense in the Bible, referenced as God, meaning a man taken on human form. But Matthew goes on to look at this in a different way, Fox, not the one in the Bible. And he says it this way. How different is this, the writings in Genesis, from today's creation story from science, where we learn that the universe began with a fireball that grew from a compressed light smaller than a pinprick to an expanding fire over 750,000 years. When the fireball finally burned out, it passed off its offspring of atoms that would in turn give birth to galaxies, supernovas, stars, the sun, our earth, plants that eat sunlight in the process of photosynthesis, and animals, including ourselves, who also eat, breathe, and bask in sunlight. Indeed, even our brains emit photons or light waves when we put creative ideas together. Listening to the new storytellers about creation's origins, one is swimming in stories about fireballs and photons and light. Thomas Berry and Brian Swimme tell the story this way. 15 billion years ago, let's take that in again, 15 billion years ago, in a great flash, the universe flared forth into being. In each drop of existence, a primordial energy blazed with an intensity never to be equaled again. In the beginning, the universe is a great shining that expands rapidly and that explodes into hundreds of billions of dark clouds. Later, 100 billion galaxies light up with a splendor new to the universe. The beginning of the universe is a smooth, intense flame. A few billion years later, the large-scale structure of the universe glows in great sheets of galaxies and in their intersections in long, spidery filaments of sparkling worlds. Science. We all love that word. Let's hear it again. Science is instructing us that matter is trapped light, slow-moving light, or frozen light, as physicist David Bohm puts it. We are made up of light. Say that again. We are made up of light, he writes. This is not just true of human flesh, but of all flesh. The oranges we eat and the tea we drink, the grasses and the animals, the birds and the stars are all slow moving light. So take that in for a moment, that we're light. And not only are we light, but we're the same light of the energy that created this explosion that created the universe. And so when we hear in this teaching and philosophy and faith and way of life of the science of mind that says all there is God and God is all there is, and once again, if that word gives you issue, don't use it. but also give yourself permission to expand your understanding and definition of the word, because it's not a bad word in and of itself. Give yourself permission to evolve in your consciousness, in other words, conscious evolution, to a greater understanding of the word. But as we become more and more aware that we are the very thing itself expressing as light, how do we then use it in a way to find our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening? Or let's reframe that of how do we use it to find our spiritual awakening so that we may indeed then find personal self-empowerment. Well, the way to do that is to consciously live as the light. To consciously live as the light and to accept the truth that the light is us and we are it. To accept it and to accept ourselves. To accept of this is how I'm made, as Todd's lyrics say. And then make a decision. Choose to make a decision right now and today to live your light full on out into the world. Now, obviously, when I say out in the world today, that is in a very limited manner relative to being able to navigate the human maze, as we heard earlier, in form during a lockdown, temporary or not, shutdown, whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't change the reality that we have the opportunity to constantly allow our light to shine and to make a difference on this planet, both internally as well as externally. To do as that great old song tells us of, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. To continue to let your light shine during this time and all time, because it's through the shining of the light that an internal change takes place. And that internal change in this philosophy and faith and way of life is called healing, a revealing of a spiritual truth. And that which we're celebrating today is that you and I are the light of the power that exists. And so let's give ourselves permission today to open up to the possibilities in life of how we can shine our light anew. And to know that what is called for in that process is to surrender and release anything and everything that we can that contradicts or causes conflict with our shining of the light. From the book Daily Shaman Oracles, this activity is addressed, excuse me, through the act of release. And it addresses this release of anything that is of discordance, of disturbance in this way. To end sorrow and pain, one must have a keen sense of awareness, a clear and simple mind. Simplicity requires a great deal of discipline, intelligence, and sensitivity. Excuse me. I'm going to read that again. Simplicity requires a great deal of discipline, intelligence, and sensitivity. It is not an abstract item. The shaman, the person that's awakening to their spiritual nature and giving it back, must summon inner strength not only of thought, but of the soul. The shaman must surrender, open, and release themselves. As a cocoon must release the butterfly. Inspiration blows through you like the winds of creation, not blustering, but soft, like the flutter of butterfly wings on your cheek. As clouds part, the sun brings forth the wild sensuousness of the earth awakened and bursting with bloom. Opening the rich vitality of your inner heart, new visions burst forth from your chest with the clarity of an eagle's eye. Your soul knows the landscape of your destiny. Trust in this. Trust in this. The shaman's oracle is telling us to basically be still and know that the light exists and that the light itself will heal all of that which appears as darkness. And then what we're called to do in this simple, gentle, loving manner, which is so appropriate in this time of life, is to align ourselves with the nature of the cosmos. The nature of the cosmos. To call into being a cosmic consciousness. A consciousness that reflects the cosmos. In the book, The Science of Mind, this consciousness, the cosmic consciousness, is defined as a perception of the whole, supreme, intuitive knowledge of the divine order, beyond and above the intellectual faculty of comprehension. And so today, on December 6th in the year 2020, as we each heed the calling of calling in the light, I invite us through this heed to open up and surrender and release any angst or misgivings or doubt or sense of uncertainty of what lies ahead. And in its place, let a cosmic consciousness arise. A consciousness that is steeped in the perception of wholeness, oneness, a life of mysticism, a mystical approach to the good that is being called forth by means of you and by means of me. To open ourselves up to a higher idea of how we desire to shine our light in the universe, not letting the external circumstances be the barometer by which we choose to shine our light. The great poet Rumi reminds of this relationship that we have with the only thing there is. In this poem, during the day I was singing with you. At night we slept in the same bed. I wasn't conscious day or night. I thought I knew who I was, but I was you. There is a channel between voice and presence, a way where information flows. In disciplined silence, the channel opens. With wandering talk, it closes. If this world is too small for you, fly to love. Fly to the mountain of closeness. You are the phoenix. Your body should blaze like a sun if you want to shine in the universe and enlighten the world. I know that you and I both want to enlighten the world today and forward. For us to do that, we must surrender into the oneness of life that exists. So just as we began our service this morning by calling in the light, let's remember that the ceremony is not just for Sunday morning. It can be one for you and I daily, hourly, sometimes moment by moment. And remembering that the ceremony is for the purpose of remembering that we are here to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. That Spirit was the energy that gave rise to the brilliance of the universe that we get to live in and be in and experience and express every day. That brilliance is in you and it's in me. So as we go forward, let's not only call in the light, let's let this little light shine and shine and shine and bring joy to the world, no matter where we are in it. And so it is. Thank you. And so it's my pleasure to bring the light of life as Todd Alsup back to our Zoom and Facebook meeting to share his second song. Todd?
Only hopelessness, only cynicism. 24 hours on my television. I see stories of suffering and souls dejected. How'd we ever get so disconnected? I've been searching for inspiration. I've been reaching out for revelations. 'Cause they say even if it amounts to nothing, everyone's gotta have faith in something. Show me something worth believing, and I will receive it with all my heart and soul. I'm searching for words that bear repeating, something worth believing. That's all I'm asking for. Check the words of the politicians, and I opened my mind to the great religions. The messages were wrapped up in contradictions. I didn't know what was fact or fiction. Yeah, I saw the truth in the books I read, and the words that each of my teachers said. And I never doubted anybody's good intentions, but their answers only left more questions. Show me something worth believing, and I will receive it with all my heart and soul. I'm searching for words that bear repeating, something worth believing. That's all I'm asking for. Take me to the light, show me something true. Show me there is something that I can do. Whoa, whoa, I'm searching for words that bear repeating, something worth believing. That's all I'm asking for. Show me, 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 show me something, something. Something worth believing, worth believing, worth believing. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for.
Uh-huh. I'm sorry, I was just a little bit late coming back to say hello because I was reading in the chat. Someone posted they think we're witnessing a future EGOT winner, Mr. Todd. So
From your lips to God's ears.
here are God's ears.
Bring it
So,
on.
yeah, fantastic. We love the backdrop, love the mirror ball, but more importantly, love you.
I wanted to show you really quickly. I got this at Mood Fabrics where they filmed Project Runway.
Honey, I knew that.
She's reversible. She's got gold on the other side.
Uh-huh. I'm surprised you didn't see it on RuPaul's Drag Race in addition to
Right.
Project Runway. Great. Well, thank you. Just fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for bringing your originality here with us today, too.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for all the kind comments. It's always great to see you guys, and bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. We love you. Thank you. So we have a special video that we're going to show you all right now. It's a video that Travis is going to prompt up on the screen for just a second. But prior to our doing our conscious giving, I'd like to let you know that and remind you that as a community, we are a tithing community. 10% of every dollar that comes in, we send back out to make a difference in both our community and beyond. The video that you're going to see is a video that has been sent to us to say thank you for a tithe that we gave to this individual for the sharing that she does of the music that she has written that's shared around the world, and people just use over and over and over again. And I know personally that there's rarely any licensing money that's paid for that. So Travis, will you share that with us, please?
Good morning, Reverend Keith Cox in the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you to your beautiful community and my friends there. Thank you for using the music in your services. That delights my heart. And thank you for the generous gift. I appreciate it here in what I call the B-hood. You know, it supports my work, you know, to be brave, to be kind, to be ferociously delivering my gifts, you know, in the way that I would. So thank you. I have my friends, What That Do, that's Dorothy James, that's Thea Austin and Ayanna Stokes, and my name is Ricky Byers. All right, so what we're gonna hit it, sisters? All right. Yes. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. Oh, I release well and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. Hey, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. Oh, and no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. Thank you so much. God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving and happy every day. Peace.
What a joy to share in the propagation of good and the flow of abundance with Ricky Byers and her music. And so I wanted you all to see that, just so you have some sense of the good that is transpiring by means of our community and sending that out into the universe. In that context, now is the time for us to do our conscious giving here as a community. I'm going to put on the screen the methods and opportunities for us to, hold on just one second. There we go. for us to participate in conscious giving. You'll see that the option is to go to our website, csl-la.org, and click on donate, or go to the app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Click on the upper left bars and a screen will come up and you can see the donate tab there. Or you can mail in our check. Address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, 90038. Or call me personally, 963-1653, area code 310, and I can handle that privately. And so as we all take a moment to participate by consciously giving and making a difference, Yaron will take us through our conscious giving song called Love is My Decision. Yaron?
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, source will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here, right now.
And so I affirm for each of us that we participate in conscious giving in a way that reflects our understanding of the infinite nature and abundant nature that exists within us as a being of light. And so today is the day that we give with an open mind, an open heart, and an open hand, trusting and knowing that in so doing and expanding our consciousness, we are participating in the flow of good. And so the very thing that we give today goes out into the world and makes a difference, as evidenced by the video that we just saw. Understanding that as we give and it touches another's life, then another's life is touched and the ripple effect goes on and on and on. And so we take this opportunity not lightly, but one with great reverence and understanding that all is well in the universe. And we play our role in assuring that unfolding with deep faith and conviction. And we let it be as we say together, amen, and so it is. Thank you, Yaron, and thank you to each of you. A big thank you to our team today that supported our service to get us to the place where we could present it to each and every one of you and those of you that are watching later. I'm going to call their names out, and let's give one big round of applause at the end of that. Todd Alsup, Travis Smith, Yaron Spiwak, and Robert Hensley. A big thank you to all four of you for playing your role in bringing this collective together. Todd through his beautiful music, Travis through working so diligently to keep our audio and tech in place for getting that video ready to show us. Yaron by working so hard to not only share music, but booking our talent and making sure the songs are in alignment with the message, and Robert for doing all of the techno audio work that you're doing. And I know that's taking place from home in Pennsylvania with your mom. You made it cross country safely, and that's so fabulous to know, but also the administrative aspect in the background as well. And a huge thank you to each one of you for being a conscious participant in the journey of your own personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, and being a conscious part of the community known as the Center for Spiritual Living to whatever degree you participate. And I'd like to invite you to invite your friends as time goes on. If you'd like to know more about us, you can find that out through our website. As referenced earlier, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. That's www.csl-la.org. You can tell how old I am when I say .www. But also you can find us through social media of Facebook and Instagram. We do a great job of promoting ourselves through both of those. Facebook, we're known as the Center for Spiritual Living. Instagram, I believe, we're Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. All that information can be found both on our app and on our website. There's a weekly newsletter that goes out earlier in the week. If you'd like to sign up for that to be abreast of what's taking place in our community, please feel free to do that through our website. Also, just a reminder to let you know that we will indeed be having a concert on December the 18th. Yaron has secured those musicians, and we've already made song selections. It's going to be a fantastic evening. Please be on the lookout for information to promote that to your friends and family, and to book us coming together to sing some carols in the most unique way that we can by not being able to hear each other, but we'll do that. Thank you to all of you who joined us this morning and was a part of the evolving consciousness known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. I know I can speak for myself, as I know I speak for all of you. It becomes tiresome and gruesome actually doing service in this way Sunday after Sunday. But as we all know, the end indeed is in sight. Let's remember that. Let's remember that we have the opportunity to make a difference out there, and that be very thankful for technology that supports us during this time. I invite you to keep your head in alignment with your good as this week unfolds. And to remember, as our founding minister taught us through a book that he wrote, you are enough just as you are. You are transcendent of any experience or circumstance in life. So stay safe. Use your mind wisely. Use your thoughts in a constructive way. And remember that you are the light of life. We're going to close with a brief meditation. After that, we'll say goodbye to our friends on Facebook, and we will be able to come together on Zoom and say hello to everyone that would like to do so. Let's close in meditation. And so just anchoring ourselves into the awareness and acceptance of who we are as a divine being. I affirm for each of us and us collectively that as we surrender and release and let go, that the light that we have called into our being rises up and shines forth from us, illuminating a pathway that is filled with wonderment. It's filled with newness. And it's filled with revelation. And that which is revealed through us is indeed healing. Because it's filled with a resonance of a remembrance of who we are, from where we came, and what resides within us. And that is the light of life. And so we make covenant and commitment to ourself to use our power wisely on this journey, and to use our wisdom thoughtfully on this journey. And to take time to be gentle with ourselves. As we choose to be the shaman, the healer of our own soul. We move forward with anticipation of what is to be known, revealed, learned, and expressed. on this journey of great personal self-empowerment as we become more and more and more spiritually awakened. And so it is. And so it is.